Your company will go bankrupt with a halt to $3 million deal. The unexpected announcement hit me during the meeting with the client. Half disbelief, half resignation, I could only grimace. Did Daphne interpret my silence as acceptance? She started boasting about finding cheaper suppliers than our factory and discussing future prospects. Her ambitions meant nothing to me, and if I was treated like this, I didn't need to hold back. What a coincidence. I came to inquire about the bankruptcy of MB Industries today. Huh? Smirking, I left Daphne stunned with her mouth agape. Don't joke around. We're not going bankrupt. It's you who will. Ignoring Daphne's tantrums like a spoiled child, I organized the documents on the table one by one. My name is Hannah. Although I'm a 30-year-old office worker, I work at my family's small-town factory. Since I was little, I've loved tinkering with machines, forsaking cartoons and comics for factory tours. Though my father tried to steer me towards dolls and sewing, I was adamant about machines being more fun. In this day and age, it's fortunate if your child takes an interest in the family business. Seeing my unwavering love for machinery, even in middle school, my father reluctantly allowed me to attend a technical high school. With the support of my colleagues, I naturally grew more determined to inherit the family business by tinkering with machines. I have an older brother who my father seemed to want to inherit the company, but he was more interested in materials engineering than mechanical engineering. He delved deep into the usefulness and potential of certain materials, ultimately pursuing that path. It's become common to see people rushing into our factory without any intention to buy, just to get a look. While enjoying this peaceful daily life, I had entered a phase of actively learning about factory management and sales. To be honest, I'd love to tinker with machines all day, but without product selling, I can't afford the time or money. Since I declared I would inherit the business, learning to interact and negotiate with suppliers became essential. Oh, the boss's daughter is wearing work clothes because we're short-handed on deliveries. Should I send some of our employees over? Thank you for your concern. Please, then, if it comes to that. One of our clients is MB Industries. One of their sales representatives is Daphne. We went to the same school from kindergarten to high school, but describing us as childhood friends would be far from accurate. Our personalities clashed. Since the boss was absent, I handled the conversation. After the delivery is done, please come to the second floor showroom. I thought she'd guide me to the meeting room after receiving the goods, but perhaps she didn't want to dirty her clothes. Though Daphne avoids such tasks, when the president is around, his frequent absences due to health issues have increased her involvement lately. As a proxy, Daphne handles things, and later the president and board members discuss matters remotely. Hey, newbie. Deliveries from the client. Hand over the receipt and get it done. I'm currently busy. Scolding the employee for hesitating, Daphne strides back to the office, her footsteps echoing loudly. Daphne never shows up on site, yet she has an air of authority that the employees despise. Perhaps it's lucky that she's the only one unaware of this. Everyone gets along well at your company, don't they? It's not like that here. I hope the president gets well soon. I agree. While cooperating with complaining employees, I felt anxious about whether I could continue our dealings with MB Industries. Yes, we have to pass on the price of raw materials to our customers due to the recent sharp rise in the cost of raw materials. Daphne shows exaggerated surprise when I suggested this. Despite being childhood friends, this is the professional relationship we now have. Such an attitude wouldn't fly with our clients. Even though times are tough for both of us, joking about price hikes is absurd. I would welcome a price reduction. We've been selling at the same price for a long time, but this is our limit. we don't increase the product price, we can't guarantee the quality we've maintained." "Is that a threat? Are you saying that if we don't agree to the price increase, you'll cut off our business relationship?" At my words, Daphne raised her eyebrows and pursed her lips. "The details are outlined in the documents, so please review them at your convenience. I'm just presenting our proposal today, so I'll take my leave now." "You should know we're not happy about this. Make sure you get back on our good side." Her silent pressure was palpable. That's always been Daphne's way. Because MB Industries is a larger company, she believes she's superior. But it's the company, not Daphne, that's impressive. I didn't need to cater to Daphne's demands or humor her. At her age, still seeking validation from others? She's got nerve. I pretended not to notice Daphne's demands and left the showroom. Let her continue to act high and mighty. Maybe someday she'll be humbled, and I genuinely hope so. And then when I revisited MB Industries to get a response about the recent price increase, that's when it happened. Daphne greeted me unusually cheerfully and escorted me straight to the showroom. Usually she leaves everything to her employees, so when she started setting out some beverages and snacks herself, a chill ran down my spine with a sense of foreboding. "Our company has decided not to comply with the price increase, and we found even cheaper suppliers. It's a tough time for cost-cutting, and we have to trim wherever we can," Daphne said, her eyes gleaming as she passionately described how her newly found suppliers would offer lower costs. Along with that, she didn't forget to criticize our company, saying we lacked management effort and neglected long-term relationships. "So, are you saying you'll terminate the contract with us?" "That's what it comes down to. We're desperate to survive ourselves. We can't afford to worry about others. Don't take it personally," Daphne replied, crossing her arms, clearly enjoying her role as the president. She casually handed me a document, and as I glanced at it, I saw the words "Contract Termination Notice" printed boldly with Daphne's signature. Here was an opportunity to extract information from our company, or even if not, to switch to cheaper suppliers. Either way, Daphne thought she had the upper hand. "Your company will go bankrupt with a halt to a $3 million deal," she said in a rough tone, addressing me specifically. But as a 30-something's professional, I could only feel awkward about her attempt at bravado. Even if it's laughed off as a painful misunderstanding, I couldn't complain. With such a self-satisfied look from her, I sighed. I couldn't unilaterally decide on such an important contract between companies. After recording the contents of the contract termination notice on video and sending it to relevant parties, I carefully stowed it away in my bag. What a coincidence! I also came here to inquire about your company's bankruptcy today. Huh? Can't you understand the meaning behind my words? Daphne stood there with her mouth agape. Before her, I calmly arranged the documents I had proudly presented, fully aware of her disdain and her plotting to somehow damage me. I'm not naive enough to just let things slide. After all these years, Daphne should know that. Don't joke around. You're not going bankrupt. It's you who will, so don't make a fool of me. I handed her a list without paying any attention to her face and raised voice. Please, take a look at this. It's a partial list of companies we have dealings with. I won't give you exact numbers, but if our company were to suddenly go bankrupt, they would also suffer considerable losses. The list I handed her contained the names of our company's business partners. Of course, it was just a fraction, but Daphne's face twisted when she realized that all the selected companies were also MB Industries' business partners. In a small town like ours, businesses have built networks of mutual support and cooperation to sustain themselves. Especially in tough times like these, it's not uncommon for one failure to trigger a chain reaction of bankruptcies. Even if they manage to hold on, they'll have to adjust production until they find alternative suppliers. In other words, our company's bankruptcy would ultimately deal a heavy blow to MB Industries. If MB Industries suddenly loses orders from nearly 10 business partners, bankruptcy is inevitable. I don't know the total value of the transactions between these partners and our company. But of course, you're aware of all this and still choose to stop doing business with us. My explanation seemed to have hit home. Perhaps she hadn't realized that stopping business with our company would have such an impact. It seemed she had just realized the gravity of her rash decision.
Wait, what I said earlier was too hasty. And there might be some flaws in the documents.
Handing back the contract termination notice and signing it, well, that's just how things work in the business world. If there are any flaws or corrections needed, please bring the corrected documents to our office. I stood up and took my bag. I'll keep the contract termination notice safe for now. If our company is facing bankruptcy, it's an urgent matter. We need to hold a meeting immediately and discuss it further. I'll take it back to the office.
Wait, please. We've been childhood friends, haven't we? If something like this happens, I'll be in big trouble.
Daphne, with a pale face, tried to chase after me, but I dashed down the stairs and got into the company car. With safety boots and work clothes, it was easy to skip steps down the stairs. On the other hand, struggling to catch up in her office skirt and heels, Daphne couldn't keep up and I smoothly left MB Industries behind. A few days later, the atmosphere at the meeting was tense. Daphne was sniffling, and Mr. Anders looked pale, occasionally coughing uncomfortably.
Where's the president of Colby Industries? I came with my father while there's only you here.
Well, the president delegated this matters to me. I brushed off Daphne's complaints, and she gave me a sour look. Daphne can't act here as the president like she does at her company, so there's no room for dissenting remarks. Mr. Anders had dark circles under his eyes, and he looked much thinner than when I last saw him. Unable to bear the heavy, stagnant air, I instinctively opened the window.
I deeply apologize for my daughter's hasty actions. It's truly embarrassing that she only thought about immediate profits, without considering the company's management or relationships.
According to Mr. Anders, Daphne seemed to lack sustainability as an engineer, an office worker, and even as a manager. When Mr. Anders discovered he was ill, with a life-threatening illness at that, he realized he needed to do something about the company before his time ran out. However, it was impossible to make Daphne his successor. So he tried to recruit skilled technicians and talented young people from other companies, but that strategy also failed miserably. Judging from what I heard from the new recruit at MB Industries the other day, the cause of the failure was likely Daphne's personality. But why did you decide to proceed with this matter without consulting the president? You could have simply sought the president's decision without pushing yourself. After all, if I had made a major contract decision and assured that MB Industries would be secure in the future, wouldn't that have reassured your father?
Well, I really hate you, Hannah. Just because you're somewhat competent at work, you think you're all that.
The atmosphere in the conference room suddenly became awkward. You should not bring personal feelings into business. Trying to destroy our company for short-term gain without considering the massive boomerang heading her way, she's unfit to be in her position. Resigned to the fact that she's not cut out for this, Mr. Anders nodded in agreement.
You're right, Hannah. Let's just forget about this incident as childhood friends. Everything will go back to normal, and our company can continue its long-term relationship with yours. That would be best for both of us, right?
What a thing to say at this stage. I felt deep sympathy for the president. Although he was a talented manager and engineer, it seemed that he lacked the ability to guide and teach Daphne. Suddenly terminating the transaction and trying to ruin our company? And haven't I already mentioned that it would be difficult to continue to supply products as before unless we agreed to a price increase? Seeing the distressed expression on Mr. Anders' face, I calmly rejected their offer. If we could agree to a price increase, our company could still manage, but it's hard to see how we can continue doing business with a company that abruptly terminates our agreement without prior notice. Daphne couldn't respond, and Mr. Anders and I looked on in silence. However, no one offered any words of comfort for her. Our company will gradually cease transaction with MB Industries. Please understand that this decision is based on our long-standing relationship. We have no veto power in this matter. We appreciate your understanding. It won't be long before we close our doors. We will do our best to minimize any inconvenience, and we appreciate your cooperation when the time comes. Mr. Anders, visibly distressed, covered his face with both hands.
What? Are you kidding me? Dad, if they're gradually stopping, can't we just increase our contracts with other suppliers during that time? Why do we have to go under?
It's because of the contracts you unilaterally signed somewhere. When I checked the contract, it included a commitment for the next 5 years of transactions. I saw the goods, but the quality is much inferior to what Colby Industries offers.
They're completely unusable for us. In other words, Daphne managed to sell us inferior goods. With a firm contract in place and no cooling-off period for business-to-business transactions, Daphne couldn't possibly have thoroughly read through the complicated contract document. If we terminate the transaction, there will be substantial penalties for buying back the products. It's likely an amount our current financial situation can't withstand.
Whether there is a penalty or not, if word gets out that we did this to Colby Industries, it will be a credibility issue. A company that loses credibility will inevitably go under.
As Mr. Anders struggled to hold back his tears, Daphne began to sob uncontrollably. The bitter taste of the path that the childhood friends and business associates would soon walk lingered in the air. Daphne, what on earth are you doing? We all know that running a business isn't easy. You can't just shut down the family business on a whim. What have you seen all this time? We've been childhood friends since forever. I thought we understood how our factories operated since we were young, and how hard our fathers worked. But it seems like Daphne and I had completely different views and impressions of the world.
Is it all my fault? Why would you say such awful things? If you're going to blame someone, why not blame someone other than me?
It's because you neglected to report to the CEO that the employees' lives would be affected. Suddenly, Daphne began frantically scratching with both hands and let out a scream, then collapsed to the side with a loud thud. It seemed she fainted from the shock. Should we call an ambulance?
No, we'll go to the hospital ourselves. We apologize sincerely for the trouble this has caused. We'll come back to apologize properly later, so please convey our regards to the CEO.
It was unfortunate to see Daphne faint like that, so I helped Mr. Anders, who was unwell, by bringing a cart and container to load the products into the car. Daphne's clothes were stained with machine oil, but I pretended not to notice as a subtle revenge. I bid farewell to Mr. Anders, who looked fatigued. And so a year later, Mr. Anders, burdened with a vast amount of medical expenses, decided to close the business after 50 years of operation, rather than declaring bankruptcy. He liquidated not only the company, but also his home, land, and his life insurance policies to pay the employees without issuing any bounced checks. Of course, the journey to this point was difficult. Furthermore, illness mercilessly consumed Mr. Anders' body. I wonder if he found peace after completing all the arrangements. Mr. Anders passed away surrounded by his family.
It's not my fault. It's not me. It's because Hannah wouldn't forgive me. It's because of Dad's illness that things got worse. It's all Hannah's fault. She's the one who's to blame for this tragedy.
The relatives and company associates were angry at Daphne's unrepentant attitude. Despite being at the funeral, she eventually got kicked out of the venue and no one intervened. By the way, MB Industries CEO made sure to arrange alternative employment for the employees. Our company also took on some of their technicians to improve product quality. I heard that their former employees had valuable skills that had sustained it for 50 years, so they were welcome anywhere. They're truly exceptional talents.
Whatever you ask Daphne to do, she's absolutely useless.
Our president, on the contrary, has high expectations of her. Sitting on the sofa in front of me is my brother. He came to report on some business matters while also pitching a new material he developed today. Nowadays, compliance is strict, so you have to be careful not to get sued.
It's okay, though. Our CEO is good at handling those things.
My brother works for a company where a female CEO took office 5 years ago. She shook things up with organizational reforms and significantly increased sales after becoming CEO. She's also focused on employee education, constantly improving the skills of both new hires and veterans. Recognizing her talent and the educational environment she created, employees from other companies are sometimes sent to her company for executive training. She actually apprenticed under Mr. Anders for a few years in her youth, learning about power processing, and she was greatly influenced by his work ethic. And she's also my brother's wife. The materials her company deals with are the subject of my brother's research, and his dedication caught her eye, leading to their collaboration. As long as my brother and his wife keeps an eye on Daphne, I feel reassured. After all, I'm too busy to think about anything else. There are qualifications and training waiting for me. Daphne, who lives off her parents, will be in dire straits if she loses her job, so she has to cling to it desperately. For someone like her who lacks ambition, it would be much harder than wandering aimlessly through life. I had hoped to educate her to be a responsible adult and fulfill her obligations to the CEO, but I wonder how that will turn out. Well, I've already written several reports this month, and it's only been a week since the month started. Yet she's already missing deadlines for reports. It seems Daphne is not cut out for adult life. Despite being amazed at my brother and his wife for taking care of her, I'm curious about what Daphne's daily life is like. It seems she's prideful despite lacking competence, and her pride led to the reduction of her own father's honor and the closure of the business, causing great distress. Is it too much to hope for some remorse from her soon? I vowed to myself to continue working diligently so that I won't become like Daphne, no matter how prideful she may be.